The lights flickered again as another explosion rocked the medical ship Aurora's Hope. Dr. Maya Rodriguez kept her hands steady as she worked on the wounded pilot lying on her operating table. Blood covered her scrubs and sweat dripped from her forehead, but she did not stop. "Doc, we need to go now," shouted Nurse Betty Walsh from across the medical bay. She was helping other doctors move patients to the escape pods. The captain ordered all medical staff to evacuate. Maya looked up for just a second. "I'm not leaving Jake. He'll die if I stop now." The young pilot on her table had taken shrapnel to his chest when his fighter was shot down. The metal pieces had missed his heart by inches. Maya had been working on him for 2 hours, carefully removing each piece of deadly metal from his body. "Maya, please," Betty said, her voice shaking with fear. "The Catherians are boarding the ship. They're killing everyone they find." Another explosion shook the ship. This one was closer. Maya could hear the sound of laser fire in the hallways outside the medical bay. The war between humans and the reptilian Catherians had been going on for 6 months now, and it was not going well for humanity. "Almost done," Maya said, pulling out another piece of shrapnel. "Just need a few more minutes." The medical bay's main door exploded inward. Smoke filled the room as tall, scaly figures stepped through the opening. The Catherians stood 7 feet tall with green-brown skin that looked like armor. Their yellow eyes glowed in the dim light, and their mouths were full of sharp teeth. Betty screamed and ran toward the emergency exit. Most of the other medical staff had already left with the patients they could move. Only Maya remained, still working on Jake. "Human," hissed the lead Catherian in broken English. His voice sounded like gravel in a meat grinder. "Step away from wounded." Maya looked up at the alien soldier. Her hands were still inside Jake's chest cavity, holding pressure on a damaged blood vessel. "No," she said simply. The Catherian's eyes widened. He had expected fear, begging, or attempts to run. He had not expected calm defiance. "You will die," the alien said, raising his energy weapon. "Maybe," Maya said, not moving her hands. "But he will definitely die if I stop now. So no." Jake's eyes fluttered open. He was barely conscious from the pain medication, but he could see the alien soldiers surrounding them. "Duck," he whispered. "Just go. Save yourself." "Quiet, Jake," Maya said softly. "I'm almost finished." The lead Catherian studied this strange human female. In Catherian culture, the wounded were left to die if they could not fight. Only the strong deserved to live. But this human was risking her life for someone who might never fight again. "You are healer," the alien said. It was not a question. "I'm a doctor," Maya replied, still working. "I save lives. That's what I do." The Catherian spoke to his soldiers, in their harsh language. Maya could not understand the words, but she heard argument in their voices. Some wanted to kill her immediately. Others seemed curious about her behavior. Finally, the leader made a decision. "You will come with us," he said. "After I finish," Maya said firmly. The alien leader, Commander Vextal, had fought in many battles. He had seen fear, anger, hatred, and desperation in the eyes of his enemies. But he had never seen this calm determination to save life even in the face of death. Maya worked for another 10 minutes while the Catherian soldiers watched. She closed Jake's chest, cleaned the wounds, and checked his vital signs. Only when she was satisfied that he would live did she step back from the operating table. "He needs antibiotics and pain medication," she told the aliens, knowing they probably did not care. "And someone needs to check on him every hour." Commander Vextal gestured with his weapon. "Move." Maya looked down at Jake one last time. The young pilot's eyes were closed, but his breathing was steady. She had done everything she could. The Catherians led her through the damaged corridors of the Aurora's Hope. Bodies of human crew members lay scattered throughout the ship. Maya tried not to look at them, but each one felt like a personal failure. These were people she had worked with, shared meals with, laughed with during the long months of war. They reached the docking bay where a Catherian shuttle waited. As they walked across the metal floor, Maya saw other human prisoners being loaded onto different shuttles. Most looked terrified. Some were wounded and barely conscious. "Where are you taking us?" Maya asked. "Prison ship," Commander Vextal replied. "You will be questioned." "About what?" The alien looked at her with those glowing yellow eyes. "About why you stayed. About why you save enemy." Maya was confused. "Enemy? Jake is a human pilot. He's on my side. All wounded are enemy to us," Vextal said. "Weakness must be eliminated, but you risk death to save weakness. This is unusual." They reached the shuttle. The interior was dark and cramped, designed for Catherian bodies rather than humans. Maya was pushed into a small cage-like compartment with 3 other human prisoners. One was a young Marine who had been shot in the leg. Another was an engineer from the Aurora's Hope. The third was an older man in a doctor's coat. "I'm Dr. Alex Carter," the older man whispered as the shuttle lifted off. "I was captured 3 weeks ago from the hospital ship Mercy's Light." "Maya Rodriguez," she replied quietly, "from Aurora's Hope." "I saw what you did back there," Alex said, "staying to save that pilot. That was either very brave or very stupid." "Just doing my job," Maya said. Alex shook his head. "They don't understand that. The Catherians think healing is weakness. They abandon their own wounded on the battlefield. To them, a doctor is like a person who collects garbage." The wounded Marine groaned in pain. Maya immediately moved to examine his leg wound. It was infected and badly bandaged. "Don't," Alex warned. "They don't like it when we help each other." But Maya was already tearing strips from her scrubs to make better bandages. She cleaned the wound as best she could with limited supplies and rewrapped it properly. "What's your name?" she asked the young Marine. "Tony Garcia," he said through gritted teeth. "Thank you, Doc." "Just doing my job," Maya repeated. The shuttle flew through space for several hours before docking with a massive Catherian prison ship. As they were led through dark corridors lined with cells, Maya saw dozens of human prisoners. Most looked defeated and hopeless. Many were wounded and receiving no medical care. They were brought to a large holding area where Commander Vextal addressed the new prisoners. "You are now property of Catherian Empire," he announced. "You will work, you will obey. If you cause trouble, you will die." He pointed directly at Maya. "You, healer, you will treat Catherian wounded. If they die because you are incompetent, you will join them in death." Maya stood up straighter. "I'll treat anyone who needs help, human or Catherian." This answer seemed to surprise Vextal again. "Even enemies?" "I'm a doctor," Maya said simply. "I don't see enemies, I see patients." As the prisoners were led to their cells, Maya caught sight of the prison's medical facility. It was dirty, poorly equipped, and filled with both human and Catherian wounded lying on crude beds. The smell of infection and death filled the air. She realized that her real war was just beginning. Not a war fought with weapons and ships, but a war fought with compassion and healing. A war to prove that saving lives was not weakness, but the greatest strength of all. In her small, dark cell that night, Maya made a promise to herself. She would save as many lives as she could, regardless of species, and maybe somehow she would find a way to save them all. 3 months had passed since Maya was captured. The prison ship's medical bay looked completely different now. What had once been a dirty, chaotic place filled with dying patients was now organized and clean. Maya had turned it into a real hospital. She moved between the beds, checking on her patients. Half were humans who had been captured in various battles. The other half were Catherian soldiers who had been wounded and brought here for treatment. At first, the aliens had been suspicious of her care. Now many of them specifically asked for the human healer. "Temperature is down," Maya said to Alex Carter as she checked on a young Catherian soldier. The reptilian alien had been burned badly in a reactor explosion. "The infection is finally clearing up." Alex watched her work with amazement. In 3 months, Maya had learned basic Catherian anatomy. She knew which medicines worked on their biology and which ones were dangerous. She had saved more alien lives than human ones, which made some of the human prisoners angry. "I still don't understand why you help them," said Tony Garcia. The Marine had recovered from his leg wound and now worked as Maya's assistant. These things killed my entire squad. Maya continued bandaging the Catherian's burns. Because he's hurt and I can help him. That's all that matters. The Catherian soldier's eyes opened. He looked up at Maya and made a soft clicking sound which she had learned meant thank you in their language. Rest now, Kextar, she said gently. You're getting better. Dr. Alex Carter pulled Maya aside. We need to talk privately, he whispered. They walked to the supply room where they could speak without being overheard. Alex looked worried. Something bad is happening, Alex said. I heard the guards talking. There's some kind of sickness spreading through the ship. It started in the lower levels where they keep the Catherian crew. Maya frowned. What kind of sickness? High fever, bleeding from the eyes, difficulty breathing. And Maya, it's killing them fast. Really fast. That afternoon, Commander Vextal came to the medical bay. He looked sick himself. His normally bright yellow eyes were dim and his green skin had a grayish tint. Human healer, he said, his voice weaker than usual. We have problem. I heard, Maya said. How many are sick? 47 crew members, 12 already dead. Vextal sat down heavily on one of the beds. Our doctors cannot stop it. Maya studied his symptoms. Are any humans sick? Not yet, but disease spreads quickly in closed ship. Maya knew what this meant. If a plague spread through the prison ship, everyone would die. The Catherians would probably abandon the ship rather than risk the disease spreading to their fleet. I need to see the sick Catherians, Maya said. Vextal led her to the lower levels of the ship. The smell hit her first. The sweet, rotten smell of serious illness. Catherian crew members lay in their bunks, some unconscious, others crying out in pain. Their skin was covered in dark spots, and many were bleeding from their mouths and eyes. Maya examined several patients while Alex took notes. She had seen diseases like this before, but never in reptilian biology. The pattern reminded her of hemorrhagic fever, but something was different. This isn't natural, she told Alex quietly. This looks engineered. You mean a weapon? Maybe. Or an experiment that went wrong. Maya looked around at the dying Catherians. I need blood samples from both species, and I need to check the ship's air and water systems. For the next 2 days, Maya worked without sleep. She turned part of the medical bay into a research laboratory, using whatever equipment she could find or build. Tony Garcia and several other human prisoners helped her collect samples and data. What she discovered was terrifying. The disease was indeed artificial. Someone had created a virus that attacked the blood clotting system in both humans and Catherians. It was designed to be fatal to both species, but the virus had a flaw. It was unstable and mutated quickly. The good news is that I think I can treat it, Maya told Commander Vextal. The bad news is that we need to act fast before it mutates into something worse. What do you need? Vextal asked. Maya handed him a list. These chemicals and medicines. Some of them are in your ship's pharmacy. Others we'll have to synthesize. Vextal looked at the list. These are restricted materials. Only high-ranking officers can authorize their use. Then get authorization, Maya said firmly. Because if this spreads to your main fleet, it will kill everyone. While they waited for approval, Maya began treating patients with what supplies she had. She worked on both humans and Catherians, moving from bed to bed for 18 hours straight. Alex and Tony helped her, learning to recognize symptoms and administer basic treatments. More patients arrived every hour. The disease was spreading exactly as Maya had feared. But something else was happening too. Word was spreading through the ship about the human doctor who was trying to save everyone. A group of human prisoners approached Maya while she was treating a Catherian officer. Doc, said their leader, a tough-looking woman named Lisa Brooks. She had been a Marine sergeant before her capture. We've been talking. The humans are organizing. Organizing for what? Maya asked, not looking up from her patient. Information. We've got people working in different parts of the ship. We see things, hear things. We could help you. Maya finally looked up. Help me how? Intelligence. We know which guards are getting sick. We know where they keep the good medical supplies. We know the ship's layout better than they think. Lisa leaned closer. And we know who might have started this plague. This got Maya's attention. Who? There's a Catherian scientist named Dr. Sekmore in the research level. He's been working on biological weapons. Word is that one of his experiments escaped containment. Maya absorbed this information. If Lisa was right, then Dr. Sekmore might have the antidote or at least more information about the virus. Can you get me to him? Maya asked. Maybe. But it would be dangerous. If we're caught, they'll kill us all. Before Maya could answer, Commander Vextal returned with 2 other Catherian officers. One of them was clearly high-ranking, with elaborate markings on his scales and expensive-looking armor. This is General Mordak, Vextal announced. He commands this battle group. The general looked down at Maya with obvious disdain. You are the human who claims she can cure our people? I'm trying to cure everyone, Maya corrected. Human and Catherian. General Mordak laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. Humans care only for themselves. Why would you help your enemies? Maya stood up and faced the general directly. Because they're not my enemies when they're sick. They're my patients. General studied her for a long moment. Behind him, Maya could see more sick Catherians being brought into the medical bay on stretchers. You have 2 days, General Mordak said finally. If the cure works, you will be rewarded. If it fails, you will be executed along with all the human prisoners. After the general left, Alex pulled Maya aside again. Are you insane? You just bet all our lives on finding a cure for an engineered plague. We were dead anyway, Maya said calmly. At least now we have a chance. That night, Lisa Brooks and her network of human prisoners helped Maya reach Dr. Sekmore's laboratory. What? They found there changed everything. The Catherian scientist was dead, killed by his own creation, but his research notes were still intact. Maya read through the notes with growing horror and understanding. The plague wasn't just a weapon, it was a mistake. Dr. Sekmore had been trying to create a virus that would make Catherian soldiers stronger. Instead, he had created something that could wipe out both species. But buried in his notes, Maya found what she needed. The formula for a treatment that could stop the virus before it killed its victims. She had 1 day to save everyone on the ship. And if she succeeded, she would become something she had never expected to be, a legend that both species would remember forever. As dawn broke over the prison ship, Maya began preparing the cure that would change the course of the war itself. Maya worked through the night mixing chemicals and preparing the cure. Her hands shook from exhaustion, but she could not afford to make mistakes. Outside the medical bay, she could hear the sounds of more patients being brought in. The plague was spreading faster now. How many doses can we make? Asked Tony Garcia, helping her measure ingredients. Maybe 50 with what we have, Maya replied. But there are over 200 sick people on this ship. Alex Carter looked up from where he was preparing syringes. So we have to choose who lives and who dies. Maya stopped working and stared at him. No, we save everyone. I don't know how yet, but we save everyone. At dawn, General Mordak arrived with Commander Vextal and several other officers. The general looked worse than before. His breathing was labored and dark spots had appeared on his neck scales. The plague had reached the command level. Do you have cure? General Mordak demanded. Maya held up a vial of clear liquid. I have a treatment, but I only have enough for 50 people. The general's eyes blazed with anger. You promised to cure everyone. I will cure everyone, Maya said calmly. But I need more supplies and I need something else. What? I need to talk to Admiral Kyle Patterson. The Catherian officers looked shocked. Admiral Patterson was the commander of the human fleet. He was their enemy. Impossible, General Mordak said. We do not negotiate with humans. Maya stepped closer to the general. This plague will spread to your main fleet. When it does, it will kill thousands of your people. The only way to stop it As if both sides work together. You lie, Maya showed him Dr. Seckmore's research notes. Your own scientist created this. He was trying to make biological weapons. This plague was an accident, but it will destroy both our species if we don't stop it. General Mordak read the notes. His expression changed from anger to horror as he realized the truth. Even if this is true, he said slowly, the High Command will never agree to work with humans. Then convince them, Maya said. Because right now, I'm the only person who can save both our species. While they argued, Lisa, Brooks approached Maya quietly. Doc, we've got a problem. Some of the human prisoners are getting sick now. It's starting to jump species faster. Maya felt her heart sink. The virus was mutating just as she had feared. Soon it would be completely out of control. Give me the first dose, General Mordak said suddenly. Everyone stared at him. Sir? Commander, Vextal asked. If the human healer speaks truth, then I must test her cure. If it works on me, then we know it can work on others. Maya prepared the injection carefully. This might hurt. Your body will fight the medicine at first. I have survived worse pain, General Mordak said. Maya injected the cure into the general's arm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then General Mordak began to shake violently. His skin turned pale green and he collapsed to the floor. You have killed him, Commander Vextal snarled, reaching for his weapon. Wait, Maya said, kneeling beside the general. His body is fighting the virus. This is normal. For 10 minutes, General Mordak convulsed on the floor. Maya monitored his vital signs while the other Catherian officers watched nervously. Then slowly, his breathing became steady. The dark spots on his skin began to fade. General Mordak opened his eyes. They were bright yellow again, not the dim color of sickness. I feel better, he said with surprise. The other officers stared, in amazement. The most powerful general in their fleet had been cured by a human prisoner. Now will you contact Admiral Patterson? Maya asked. 2 hours later, Maya found herself in the prison ship's communication center. On the main screen was Admiral Kyle Patterson, a gray-haired man with tired eyes. Behind him stood several other human officers. Dr. Rodriguez, Admiral Patterson said. We've heard remarkable things about you. Admiral, we have a situation that threatens both species, Maya began. She explained about the plague, the cure, and the need for cooperation. Admiral Patterson listened carefully. What do you need from us? Medical supplies and research data. In exchange, we'll share everything we know about Catherian biology and the cure for this plague. One of the human officers behind Admiral Patterson spoke up. Admiral, this could be a trap. How do we know we can trust them? Before Admiral Patterson could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Commander, Vextal rushed into the communications center. General, he said urgently, we have incoming ships. Unknown vessels approaching fast. On the tactical display, Maya could see dozens of dark shapes moving toward them. They looked like no ships she had ever seen before. Angular, black, and deadly. Those are not human ships, Admiral Patterson said grimly. And they're not Catherian either. General Mordak studied the display. Devourers, he whispered. Maya had never heard that word before, but the fear in General Mordak's voice was unmistakable. What are devourers? Admiral Patterson asked. General, Mordak looked old suddenly. The reason we came to your space, we were not trying to conquer you. We were running from them. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. They consume all biological matter, General Mordak continued. They have been chasing our people across the galaxy for generations. We thought we had lost them, but they have found us again. Admiral Patterson's expression changed. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less. Maya stepped forward. Then we need to work together now. Not tomorrow, not after we debate it. Right now. The first Devourer attack came without warning. The prison ship shook violently as energy beams struck its hull. Through the windows, Maya could see the attacking ships. sleek black vessels that moved like living things. Our weapons barely scratched them, Commander Vextal reported. Admiral Patterson was coordinating with his fleet through the communication link. Our ships are taking heavy damage too. These things are more advanced than anything we've faced. In the chaos of battle, Maya found herself treating wounded from both species again. Human and Catherian soldiers were brought to her medical bay, bleeding and burned from the Devourer weapons. "Doc," Tony Garcia called out, "we've got incoming wounded from that Catherian cruiser that just got hit." Maya worked on a human pilot who had been pulled from a destroyed fighter. Next to her, Alex treated a Catherian gunner who had lost an arm. Around them, human prisoners and Catherian guards worked together to save lives. "This is impossible," the human pilot said weakly. "Those black ships move like they're alive." The Catherian gunner nodded. "Devourers use organic technology. Their ships grow like living things." Maya paused in her work. "Organic technology?" "Yes," the Catherian said. "Part machine, part living tissue." An idea began forming in Maya's mind. If they're part living tissue, then maybe biological weapons could work against them. General Mordak, who had been coordinating the battle, overheard her. "What do you mean?" "The plague virus. It attacks biological tissue. If I could modify it to target their organic technology instead of our people." Admiral Patterson's image flickered on the communication screen. "Doctor, are you suggesting we weaponize the plague?" "Not weaponize it. Redirect it. Make it attack their ships instead of us." Alex looked at her with concern. "Maya, that's incredibly dangerous. If you make a mistake, you could create something even worse." "If I don't try, we're all dead anyway," Maya replied. The battle raged around them as Maya worked frantically to modify the plague virus. She had help from an unexpected source. The Catherian medical staff had volunteered to assist her. Together, human and Catherian doctors worked to create a weapon that could save both their species. As she worked, Maya realized that this moment would change everything. Humans and Catherians were no longer enemies. They were allies facing a common threat. And she, a captured human doctor, had become the bridge between two species that had been trying to destroy each other. The weapon was ready just as the Devourer ships began their final assault. Maya looked at the vial in her hands, knowing that the fate of two civilizations rested on what she had created in a prison ship's medical bay. The Devourer fleet arrived 6 hours earlier than expected. Maya watched from the medical bay's windows as hundreds of black ships emerged from hyperspace. They moved like a swarm of insects, surrounding both the human and Catherian fleets. "All ships, this is Admiral Patterson," came the voice over the communication system. "Form defensive positions around the medical ships. Protect the doctors at all costs." Maya felt strange hearing herself called essential to the war effort. 6 months ago, she had been just another military doctor. Now both fleets were protecting her while she worked on a weapon that might save everyone. "How much longer?" asked General Mordak. He stood beside her workstation, watching her modify the plague virus. "Almost finished," Maya said, carefully adding another chemical to the mixture. "But I need to test it first." Alex Carter brought her a sample of Devourer technology that had been recovered from a previous battle. It looked like black metal, but when Maya examined it under a microscope, she could see it was alive. Tiny organisms moved through the material like blood cells. "It's beautiful in a terrifying way," Maya said, adjusting the microscope. "Their technology is a perfect fusion of biology and machinery." She applied a drop of her modified virus to the sample. At first, nothing happened. Then the black material began to change color. It turned gray, then white, then crumbled into dust. "It works," Maya said softly. Tony Garcia let out a cheer. Even the Catherian medical staff looked excited, but Maya knew the real test was still ahead. "We need to mass-produce this," she told General Mordak, "and we need volunteers to carry it to the Devourer ships." The battle outside was getting worse. Devourer ships were tearing through the defensive lines. Their weapons could drain the life from entire crews, leaving ships full of empty husks floating in space. Admiral Patterson's face appeared on the communication screen. Behind him, Maya could see smoke and sparks from battle damage to his ship. "Dr. Rodriguez," Admiral Patterson said, "we're taking heavy losses. How soon can you deploy the weapon?" "We have enough for maybe 20 ships," Maya replied, "but someone has to get close enough to deliver it." "I'll do it," said a voice from behind her. Maya turned to see Jake Morrison, the pilot she had saved on the Aurora's Hope. He had been transferred to the prison ship as one of the wounded, but his injuries had healed completely. "Jake, what are you doing here?" "Volunteer mission," Jake said with a grin. "They need pilots who know how to get close to enemy ships without being detected." Maya felt her heart clench. "It's too dangerous. These aren't regular ships. If they catch you, then I'll be dead," Jake said simply. "But if we don't try, we're all dead anyway." General Mordak stepped forward. "My son Zekmor will fly with the human pilots. He is our best stealth fighter." A young Catherian entered the medical bay. He looked like a smaller version of General Mordak, with bright, intelligent eyes and unmarked scales that showed his youth. "Father," Zekmor said formally, "I am honored to serve." Maya looked at both young fighters and felt the weight of responsibility. These brave pilots would be carrying her creation into battle, risking their lives on her science. "Wait," she said suddenly. "I'm going with you." Everyone stared at her. "Absolutely not," Admiral Patterson said from the screen. "The weapon might not work perfectly," Maya explained. "If something goes wrong, you'll need someone who understands the virus to fix it in real time." "Too dangerous," General Mordak said. "Everything is dangerous now," Maya replied. "But this gives us the best chance." Jake stepped beside her. "I'll keep her safe, General." Zekmor nodded agreement. "As will I." An hour later, Maya found herself in the back seat of a modified fighter, wearing a flight suit that was too big for her. Jake piloted, while Zekmor flew alongside them in his own ship. Behind them came 18 other fighters, each carrying samples of Maya's biological weapon. "Stay low and quiet," Jake said into his radio. "These things hunt by sensing life energy." The fighters moved through the battlefield like ghosts avoiding the main combat zones. Maya watched through the canopy as massive devourer ships fought human and Catherian vessels. The enemy ships were enormous, some the size of small cities. "Target ahead," Zekmor reported. "Devourer command ship, 2 kilometers long." Maya studied the massive black vessel through her binoculars. It pulsed with organic patterns like a giant heart beating in space. "That's our target," she said. The fighters split into 2 groups. Jake and Zekmor led the main assault while the others attacked smaller ships nearby. They had to move fast before the devourers realized what was happening. "Remember," Maya said over the radio, "the virus spreads through contact. Just get it on their hull and it will do the rest." Jake's fighter swooped toward the command ship, dodging energy beams that could kill with a touch. He fired special missiles that burst on impact, spreading Maya's virus across the alien hull. At first, nothing happened. Then Maya saw what she had hoped for. The black surface began to change color where the virus had landed. Gray patches spread outward like infection. "It's working," she said excitedly. But then alarms started screaming in their fighter. "We've got company," Jake said grimly. Devourer interceptors were rising from the command ship's launch bays. They moved faster than anything Maya had ever seen, flowing through space like liquid metal. "Jake, get us out of here," Maya said, working on it. The fighter shook as enemy weapons missed them by inches. Jake threw the ship into impossible turns, using every trick he knew to avoid the pursuing devourers. Suddenly, Zekmor's voice came over the radio. "My ship is hit, engine failing." Maya could see the young Catherian's fighter trailing smoke and sparks. Devourer ships were closing in on him. "We have to help him," Maya said. "If we do, we'll all die," Jake replied. Maya thought of General Mordak, who had trusted her to keep his son safe. She thought of all the lives depending on their mission succeeding. "Do it anyway," she said. Jake cursed in 3 languages but turned their fighter toward Zekmor's position. They fired everything they had at the pursuing devourers, drawing their attention away from the damaged Catherian ship. "This is crazy," Jake muttered as they dodged return fire. Crazy seems to work for us, Maya replied. They managed to drive off the immediate attackers, but Zekmor's ship was dying. I cannot make it back, he reported. Engine is gone. Transfer to our ship, Maya said quickly. Impossible. No docking capability. Maya looked around the fighter's cockpit desperately. Then she saw the emergency airlock. It was designed for rescues in space. Jake, bring us alongside his ship. I'll get him. Maya, you're not trained for spacewalks. I'm trained to save lives, that's enough. 10 minutes later, Maya was floating in space wearing an emergency suit, pulling an unconscious Zekmor from his destroyed fighter. The young Catherian had been injured by flying metal when his ship was hit. As Jake pulled them both back into their fighter, Maya began treating Zekmor's wounds. She had to work in zero gravity while their ship dodged enemy fire, but she managed to stop his bleeding and stabilize his injuries. He'll live, she told Jake. Good, Jake replied, because we're about to find out if your virus really works. Through the canopy, Maya could see the Devourer command ship. The gray infection had spread across most of its hull. As they watched, sections of the massive vessel began to crumble and break apart. All fighters, this is Admiral Patterson, came, the radio call. The command ship is falling apart. Whatever you did, it's working. Throughout the battlefield, other Devourer ships were showing the same symptoms. Maya's virus was spreading from ship to ship, breaking down their organic technology and leaving them helpless. But as Maya watched the destruction, she felt no joy. These creatures, whatever they were, had once been alive. Her healing had become a weapon of mass destruction. Second thoughts? Jake asked, seeing her expression. Always, Maya replied. But sometimes you have to destroy something to save everything else. The battle was turning. Human and Catherian ships that had been losing badly were now pressing, their advantage against the failing Devourer fleet. Maya's virus had given them hope, but she knew this was only the beginning. The real work would come after the battle, when someone had to figure out how two former enemy species could work together to face whatever other threats waited in the dark between stars. The final battle against the Devourer mothership lasted 18 hours. Maya worked without rest in the command center of the combined human-Catherian fleet, monitoring the biological weapon as it spread through the enemy vessels. But something was wrong. The virus is mutating again, Maya told Admiral Patterson and General Mordak. It's becoming less effective against their newer ships. On the main display, they could see the massive Devourer mothership. It was 10 times larger than any other vessel, a dark mountain floating in space. The virus had damaged it, but not enough to stop it from functioning. Can you modify the weapon again? Admiral Patterson asked. Maya studied the data streaming across her screens. Maybe, but I need to understand their technology better. I need samples from the mothership itself. General Mordak looked grim. That ship is the most heavily defended target in the galaxy. Getting close enough for samples would be suicide. Then I'll have to go inside it, Maya said quietly. Everyone in the command center stared at her. Alex Carter, who had been helping coordinate medical teams, stepped forward. Maya, that's insane. Even if you could get aboard that thing, you'd never get back out. Maybe, Maya said. But if I don't try, everyone dies anyway. Jake Morrison entered the command center, his flight suit still scorched from the previous battle. If Doc is going, then I'm flying her there. Count me in too, said Zekmor. The young Catherian's arm was in a sling from his injuries, but his eyes were determined. Admiral Patterson shook his head. I can't authorize a mission this dangerous. You're not authorizing it, Maya said firmly. I'm volunteering for it. 2 hours later, Maya found herself aboard a captured Devourer ship that Jake and Zekmor had managed to repair enough to fly. The interior was unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls pulsed with organic patterns and the air smelled like copper and ozone. This place gives me the creeps, Jake said, checking his scanner. It's alive, Maya said, running her hand along a wall. The entire ship is one giant organism. They moved through dark corridors toward the ship's computer core. Maya needed to access the Devourer database to understand how their technology worked. Only then could she modify her virus to be more effective, The core chamber was vast, filled with organic computers that looked like giant brains floating in tanks of green fluid. Maya approached the central console and began connecting her portable equipment. "Can you read their language?" Zekmor asked. "Not the words," Maya said, "but I can understand the biological data." As she worked, something unexpected happened. The ship's consciousness began speaking to her directly, not through words but through images and feelings projected into her mind. Maya saw the history of the Devourers. They had once been a peaceful species called the Gardeners, who traveled the galaxy helping other civilizations grow and prosper. But a terrible plague had infected their homeworld, killing billions of their people. In desperation, they had tried to merge themselves with machines to survive. The process had worked, but it had changed them. The mechanical parts of their minds became dominant, turning them from gardeners into harvesters. They began consuming other species to feed their hybrid technology. "They're not evil," Maya said aloud, tears streaming down her face. "They're sick. They've been sick for thousands of years." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Maya turned from the console, her mind reeling with new understanding. "The mechanical parts of their brains are infected with a computer virus. It's making them aggressive and hungry. They can't stop themselves." She looked at the data flowing across her screens. "I can fix this. I can cure them." "Cure the Devourers?" Zekmor said in disbelief. "They've been destroying civilizations for millennia." "Because they're sick," Maya repeated. "If I can remove the computer virus from their systems, they'll go back to being the gardeners they once were." Jake checked his scanner nervously. "Doc, we've got company coming. Lots of company." Through the ship's organic sensors, Maya could see Devourer security forces moving toward their location. She had maybe 10 minutes before they arrived. "I need more time," she said desperately. The ship's consciousness spoke to her again, showing her images of the cure she could create. But it would require a sacrifice. Someone would have to stay behind to upload the healing program directly into the mothership's core. "I'll do it," Maya said immediately. "No way," Jake said. "We're all getting out of here." "The upload has to be monitored," Maya explained. "If anything goes wrong, someone needs to be here to fix it, and I'm the only one who understands the biology involved." Zekmor grabbed her arm with his good hand. "My father will never forgive me if I let you die." Maya smiled at the young Catherian. "Tell your father that some things are worth dying for. Tell him I said thank you for teaching me that." She began uploading her cure into the ship's systems. The process would take 15 minutes. Jake and Zekmor had to leave now if they wanted to escape. "Go," Maya said firmly. "That's an order." Jake hesitated at the chamber entrance. "Doc, what do I tell Admiral Patterson?" "Tell him the war is over. All the wars are over." After they left, Maya continued working alone in the vast chamber. The cure program was complex, designed to remove the computer virus from millions of hybrid minds without damaging the biological parts. The security forces found her with 5 minutes left in the upload. They were smaller than the soldiers she had seen before, more organic and less mechanical. Maya realized these were gardeners who had not been fully converted. One of them approached her slowly. Through the ship's consciousness, it spoke to her. "Healer," it said in her mind. "You try to save us?" "Yes," Maya said aloud. "I'm trying to save everyone. We remember being gardeners. We remember helping life grow instead of consuming it. You can be gardeners again," Maya promised. The upload completed just as more security forces arrived. But instead of attacking Maya, they surrounded her protectively. The first group had shared her intentions with the ship's consciousness, and now all the partially converted gardeners wanted to help. The cure spread through the mothership systems like medicine through a bloodstream. Maya watched on the monitors as devourer ships throughout the fleet began to change. Their aggressive formations broke apart. Their weapons powered down. Across the communication channels, voices began speaking in languages that had not been heard for thousands of years. The gardener consciousness was awakening. Admiral Patterson's voice came through Maya's radio. "Dr. Rodriguez, what's happening out there? The Devourer fleet has stopped attacking." They're remembering who they used to be, Maya replied. 6 months later, Maya stood on the bridge of a hospital ship called Mercy's Hand. It had once been the prison ship where she was held captive, but now it traveled between star systems providing medical care to anyone who needed it. Her patients included humans, Catherians, and the newly awakened gardeners. The three species had formed an alliance called the Galactic Health Initiative, dedicated to healing rather than warfare. "Doc Maya," called Tony Garcia from across the medical bay. "We've got incoming wounded from the mining accident on Kepler Station." Maya smiled at the nickname that had stuck. Throughout known space, people called her Doc Maya, the woman who had ended 3 wars with compassion instead of weapons. Alex Carter approached with a datapad. "The medical schools on Earth want to name their trauma surgery program after you. The Rodriguez Protocol for Interspecies Emergency Medicine." "Tell them I'm honored," Maya said. "But the protocol belongs to everyone who helped develop it." "Jake." Morrison and Zekmore entered the medical bay, both wearing the uniform of the new Galactic Medical Corps. They had trained together to become emergency medics, inspired by Maya's example. "Ready for another call, Doc?" Jake asked with a grin. Maya looked around at her mixed crew of humans, Catherians, and gardeners working together to save lives. This was better than any legend. This was real. "Always ready," she said. "Let's go help someone." As Mercy's Hand jumped to hyperspace toward its next mission, Maya reflected on how far she had come. She had started as a prisoner of war and become the galaxy's most respected healer. But the best part was not the reputation or the honor. The best part was that the wars were over and now everyone could focus on what really mattered: helping each other live.